All right, y'all. I'm gonna let some people hop on. Um, check to make sure this is all getting sent out correctly. So, for those who hop on really quickly or are watching this after the fact, if you're up this late, you are aware now that Russia has invaded Ukraine, started dropping bombs. Um, I get it. It's a very unprecedented time and it's hard to make predictions, but I haven't seen many people expect this to be the way it was going to go down. Even people who were like myself not taking the threat lightly, I don't think thought Putin would just completely go 100%, start dropping bombs, troops crossing the border this quickly and this unprovoked. So we're going to try to get you all the updates as they come in. Let me just quickly check this. Okay, so we are going to cut over. Sorry, this will look trippy. Let's go here.
Why hasn't anyone come out and spoken?
It's about the money. That's why we do it.
Trafficked. New episodes Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials?
So this is ABC's live stream. They've been doing some good coverage. There's actually not that many people live right now, which you would think everybody would be. But I guess it's just too late. So for anyone who just hopped on, doesn't know what's going on, I just got off work, and so probably an hour before I got off work, I was seeing notifications come in, and the bottom line is I don't know the order. It's kind of that fog of war situation where you don't know exactly what's going on because reports are just coming out sporadically. So I don't really know the order that it happened, but as of now, there's bombing going on, like consistent bombing across Ukraine in a number of different cities. I was watching CNN, who had a lot of, y'all drop some comments in here. Let me see. A lot of people across Ukraine, correspondents, and am I frozen? Nope. And they were saying that correspondents in all these different cities were experiencing active bombing. So this is a full-scale invasion. I mean, this is literally we're witnessing the start of a war. Ugh, this is crazy. And they're covering, why the heck are they even covering Ivanka right now? Please, we're not interested. So yeah, y'all get commenting. I want to see your thoughts, whoever's up at this hour panicking. I don't know what this means, like all of my commentary thus far has been assuming it was going to be anything short of a full-on war. Does that make sense? Like, I knew war was a possibility, but I didn't really consider that we would just wake up one night or morning and Russia would be invading Ukraine. I thought it was going to be, okay, they go and they occupy that one region for a while and there's a bunch of diplomacy back and forth, but no. I mean, Putin gave that weird ranty speech a while ago. Yesterday, yeah. And that was just his setup for a full-on attack. Guys, this is crazy. All right, let's listen to this.
On Ukraine.
What the great-granddaughter of is now saying about what could be Vladimir Putin's primary motivation. You're watching World News Now.
Of course, I'm gonna cut it by now. All right, well, that is a chance for us to take a break from this. We'll come back to it and just kind of get a readout of what's going on. So Russian forces fired missiles at several cities in Ukraine and landed troops on its coast on Thursday, officials and media said. I don't want to see Putin speak. Stop. After President Vladimir Putin authorized what he called a special military operation in the east. Shortly after Putin spoke in a televised address on Russian state TV, explosions could be heard in the pre-dawn quiet of the Ukrainian capital of Kiev, I think it's pronounced. Gunfire rattled near the capital's main airport, the Interfax news agency said, and sirens were heard over the city. So yeah, the coverage I was listening to on my way home, and y'all bear with me because I'm just finding out about all this just like you guys. Like I said, I was just at work, and so I wasn't able to read into it or anything before I went live, and then I just had to sit down, get my rig set up, and go. So we're going to kind of figure out about this together, but the coverage I was watching was pretty much saying, you know, what this was saying, and then cut to live shots of these correspondents standing there, and you could just hear I don't really know what to do with this, you know? It seems very surreal because my entire life I've never, right? We've never been alive for any war like this. I don't know what's going on. And of course, the important thing right now is not pointing out who is right or wrong, but to all the people who were pretending like it was so over dramatic and hyperbolic to be warning of a war and concerned about that. Okay, let's see. Putin has just launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Peaceful Ukrainian cities are under strikes, Ukrainian foreign minister, that name said on Twitter. This is a war of aggression. Ukraine will defend itself and will win. The world can and must stop Putin. The time to act is now. I do enjoy that, I do like that Ukraine is broadcasting strength, because I was a little bit concerned that there was going to be a little bit of a quick surrender, or allowing Russia to go way too far before they did something. But so far, from Zelenskyy's comments, and then right here, this foreign minister's, I think that's who that is, comments, looks like they're going to try to stand strong, which is the right thing to do. They kind of have to stall until the rest of the world can figure out what they're going to do in response. JD Knight, thank you for your comment. Francis Brooks. Jeff Cope. I've seen all your names, I think, in the comments before. I just want to see who is interacting. Good to have y'all with me. Okay, so let's get back to this. Is this still a commercial? Here we go.
This country will defend itself against an all-out assault.
Y'all let me know in the live
Russia.
chat how my audio sounds. This is the first time I've live streamed. Obviously, my channel is brand new, so
Ukraine are refusing
let me know how I can make it better.
This morning, Ukrainians remaining defiant in the face of Russian President Vladimir Putin as the crisis takes a turn toward war. ABC's Matt Gutman speaking with one Ukrainian along the border in Poland Wednesday who says economic penalties from the West will suffocate Putin.
He will be pushed into a corner by the sanctions.
Good night, Sugar.
By the fact that
Sugar Romero
will be deprived of their wealth, and they themselves will push him into a corner.
But I mean, sometimes if you go pushed into a corner and go, you attack.
Иногда, как зверь.
The man tells Matt it's not a problem, adding this is a more grown-up version of Ukraine, with a proper military, as opposed to 2014 when Putin's military seized Crimea, a peninsula on Ukraine's southern front. Putin has been in power unopposed since 1999, even altering constitutional term limits to hold his grip on the country.
Many Russians actually like the fact that he kind of shows to the West that Russia is not a rug under the Western feet.
Nina Khrushcheva is the great-granddaughter of Nikita Khrushchev, a former strongman who led the Soviet Union. She believes Putin is playing the long game.
Russia suffers from a tremendous superiority complex because of its size and its history and its potential, and also tremendous inferiority complex, precisely because it's never really accepted into being a European country.
In the 1970s, Putin joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's secret police, becoming a mid-level spy, eventually the chief of Russia's counterintelligence agency. And although the KGB was technically disbanded when the Soviet Union...
So Biden issued a statement. Let's go ahead and check that out. Can someone drop in the chat just that they can hear me and the levels are correct with my voice in the video? Okay. President Joe Biden has released his first statement after Russian, let's see. Someone said, I think Putin has lost his mind. All he thinks of now is restoring the USSR. Right. So I think there was questions before what we're watching right now about what his intentions were, people who are really sympathetic to him were saying like, oh, he's just threatened by the fact that Ukraine was toying with the idea of joining NATO and a few other reasons. That was the main one that was cited. But now it's pretty clear, as the logical danger said, that's his goal, is to try to reinstate the USSR borders, which is impossible, but Ukraine would be a huge addition to what they currently have and the resources that Ukraine has. And it feels like culturally and just in the rhetoric that Putin has been kind of spewing lately, it seems like there's something specific about Ukraine that he feels like is rightfully supposed to be a part of Russia. Do you know what I mean? And again, you got to decipher how much of this is him just trying to set up what he's about to do. He doesn't actually care, and how much of it is that he cares. But I do think there's a huge element of him feeling that Ukraine is really supposed to be a part of Russia, and that would also add to his conquest of trying to reinstate the USSR. So a few things at play, but it's pretty clear now that this isn't some natural response to the decisions of the West or anything like that. This is Putin going on an offensive attack, trying to expand the power of Russia. All right, Claudia, thanks for being here, and the audio sounds good. Awesome. So President Joe Biden has released his first statement after Russia launched an offensive military action in Ukraine early Thursday, calling the start of hostilities an unprovoked and unjustified attack that could cause a catastrophic loss of life. The president, who announced a series of sanctions against Russia prior to Thursday's announcement of an offensive action by Russian leader Vladimir Putin, says that he will meet with G7 leaders to determine further action tomorrow. I get that that's the only way you can get a meeting set and stuff, but it's a little crazy that we're going to have to sit here and wait for all these other world leaders to get their stuff together and make a decision about what they're going to do. And in the meantime, families are being actively bombed. So, chop, chop. Here is Biden's statement. The prayers of the entire world are with the people of Ukraine tonight as they suffer an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces. President Putin has chosen a premeditated war that will bring a catastrophic loss of life and human suffering. I don't understand what Russians' play is. I mean, the only thing you could infer that Putin thinks is going to happen is that he won't get significant enough pushback from the West, and Ukraine won't be able to put up enough of a fight, and he'll be able to just take Ukraine. I guess that's something that could happen, but it seems very, very irrational on the part of Russia and Putin. Continuing right here, Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction this attack will bring, and the United States and its allies and partners will respond in a united and decisive way. The world will hold Russia accountable. I will be monitoring the situation from the White House this evening and will continue to get regular updates from my national security team. Tomorrow, I will meet with my G7 counterparts in the morning and then speak to the American people to announce the further consequences the United States and our allies and partners will impose on Russia for this needless act of aggression against Ukraine and global peace and security. We will also coordinate with our NATO allies to ensure a strong, united response that deters any aggression. It's a little late for deterring anything against the alliance. I guess further. Yeah, that's what he said. Tonight, Jill and I are praying for the brave and proud people of Ukraine. So, I mean, that's a perfectly fine statement. I don't know, guys. This is crazy. This is so startling, and it's kind of this tough situation to be in as the United States, because if Ukraine's going to stand any chance, they really have to have the support of the West. But also, it's one of our top priorities not to get into a direct military conflict with Russia, because that means, nuclear war or kind of a Cold War situation of the threat of nuclear war. So we don't want to get involved, but then also we don't want to watch Ukraine get taken over by Russia, because not only does that do very, very bad things for Ukraine, but it also sets a terrible precedent that more powerful countries that are looking to grow their empire can just take over surrounding weaker countries. And so, Biden has said he's going to enhance the sanctions, and then at this G7 meeting, they're going to discuss what else they can do sanction-wise and other action that can harm Russia without it being direct military action. So I guess we'll see how that goes. But if we already started the first round of sanctions and then Putin decided to do this, and we have been threatening for weeks all the different types of things we would do if he actually invaded, clearly he doesn't care. So we need to be thinking, spending all of our time thinking, what is our next move if these next sanctions don't move the needle at all? So nobody judge me for how incoherent I might come off, because I am so tired. I have worked the entire day, and I'm finally off, 11 p.m. So excited to go to sleep, and then I see this, and I really wanted to talk about it and interact with any of the people who were awake and following it. Speaking of which, Claudia said, do you think Putin will stop after he's done with Ukraine? Temporarily, yes, but not forever. I definitely think he'll go as far as we let him, type thing. And so if he actually were to get all of Ukraine and it became a part of Russia, and then some years passed, he would come up with some other reason that this other country, but other hypothetical country is actually part of Russia, and for some reason they were provoked and now they have to take it over. So yeah, I don't think he would stop after Ukraine, but he would stop for a while because tensions would be so hot, and then you give it 10, 20 years, it would happen again. Because that's what we saw with Crimea. Obviously, it wasn't a war like this, but any leader like Putin, who's the head of an empire like Russia, Russia's a weak empire, actually. It just has nuclear weapons, but their whole being and their whole reason for existing is to do this, when you're that type of like strongman leader. So if he gets any opening to try to do this again with a different place, I think he would absolutely do it. Jesse said, our best hope is the Russian people getting rid of Vladimir and his cronies. Yeah, I don't think there's much hope of that happening. Russia's not exactly a democracy. But I agree. I guess you're saying, maybe not through the democratic process. Is that kind of what you mean? An uprising that rips them out? I'm definitely okay with that. If it comes from within the country and they oust a authoritarian leader, I think that's very justified. Claudia also said, so he needs to be stopped sooner or later. Let's stop him now. Maybe. Listen, it's so stressful giving commentary on like foreign policy related issues whenever you're on the left, because people are touchy. Sheesh. And just, give me the benefit of the doubt. I'm thinking out loud here. But there definitely is a sense of like, at some point, us getting more involved than we are now or than we're talking about being is going to be justified. Like, for example, everybody says, yeah, we definitely should have gotten involved in World War II. Okay. The reason they say that is we know how it ended, right? So they say, of course, it's totally justified to get militarily involved if 6 million lives are on the line, like in the case of World War II, 6 million Jews. So everyone says that. Even the most like isolationist people, at least that I've talked with, have been like, yeah, we definitely should have gotten involved in World War II. That was justified. But they forget that in the moment, we weren't aware of all the things that were going to happen and all the tragedies that were going to be done. And so it's like, it's just a hard call, because a lot of people say we should have gotten involved in World War II earlier and not waited to be, as provoked as we were with Pearl Harbor. But at that point, we weren't aware of how bad it was. And I just think you have to take that into consideration whenever you're judging a modern event, because we don't know what Putin would ultimately do. As Claudia is saying, like, if he's going to keep trying to expand, and we all agree at some point we would have to stop him, what's the holdup for us getting more involved right now? So, but also the nuclear threat kind of just limits your choices so much, because it's like either you're not involved militarily at all, or you're threatening back and forth, nuking one another, and ending the world, which isn't really an option. So it's difficult. I'm happy that I'm not Biden right now. Let's see. Jesse, yeah, I agree. The Logic Danger said, I think if Putin gets away with taking over Ukraine, then he will move even faster on the next country. Best thing is it for Ukraine to put up a strong defense to delay Russia as long as possible. Yeah, I agree. But do you like how? Okay, so Ukraine delays Russia as long as possible. Then what? Just kind of what I was saying, as long as possible until the West can put a dent in Russia economically and diplomatically, that they back down. Like, is that what that's what Ukraine is stalling for, or what? And that's an interesting point. You think if he gets away with Ukraine, he'll actually move faster to the next country. And if that's the case, I do think the urgency of acting is more extreme. Jesse, but we did know that a power-hungry dictator was expanding his outreach. But yes, you're absolutely right. Prudence is the best option in this case. Yeah, But we did know that. You're saying in World War II we did know that. And would you say that's analogous to Putin? Because obviously Putin's not similar to Hitler at all in the way that he is going about this. Like, his motivations isn't to do a genocide. But I go back to, I don't know exactly when it became clear that what was being done, but you could definitely see that, like, Hitler's rhetoric was very focused around dehumanizing and alienating this one group. So that's one argument, in the sense that, like, Putin mainly speaks in regard to this issue about wanting Ukraine to be a part of its rightful overlord and yada yada, but not going after a particular group. So there's a better chance that the outcome isn't as devastating as the Holocaust, for sure, but there's also something about destabilizing kind of the world tides. That was two mixed analogies. Destabilizing kind of like the foundation of global peace, with the idea that sovereign nations are to be respected. I think allowing someone like so tired. Allowing someone like Putin to get away with this not only sends him a message and probably encourages him to try to do it again, but also other wannabes and other future dictators, strongmen, whatever. I know Putin's not like a dictator in the same way that some other ones are, but I think you definitely, maybe not this year, cause as much bloodshed as other things we would kind of compare it to, but I think you do risk the chance of way more future bloodshed, because we go back to a time where empires are constantly just trying to expand, and in that process doing genocides. In some ways, yes. Okay. Cool. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, it's over. I don't really want to.
Les informations fournies. Monsieur le Président, c'est la 4e fois en 3 semaines que ce Conseil s'est réuni pour débattre de la situation en Ukraine. Nous nous réunissons cette nuit, 48 heures après nos...
This is uninteresting to me. Okay, there was something else I wanted to show y'all. Let's see. Ukraine. What was it that I saw? Let's see. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so let me read this first. The Logic Danger says people fighting their own homes will always fight harder than the invaders. Okay. That is the advantage Ukraine has. Also, I assume they will get military supplies from NATO countries. Yes, so I agree sort of with what you're saying, that people fight more for their own home, but Russia definitely has a stronger military, and so you're going to be, not you, I'm just saying that that's going to cause so much death and destruction. And then to the NATO military supplies kind of being provided, that will happen. But again, I don't think that's enough. And they've made it pretty clear that they don't want to send NATO troops in because then all of a sudden the West is in an actual conflict with Russia. Don't y'all feel like it's a little bit arbitrary? Like, we will back Ukraine's military to fight Russia, but we won't. And Russia will consider the former bad, I'm sure, but not an act of war. But they'll consider the latter an act of war, even though in both cases we are actively trying to fight them, even if it's not directly through us. I don't know. Okay, so this is after the explosions had happened, and I guess they're having a meeting, you know, a UN Security Council meeting, which Russia's a part of. So weird. So weird that you can be about to go to war / at war with somebody and still be in the same little diplomatic club. That's bizarre. And the Ukrainian ambassador had some fiery words for his Russian counterpart, as you can see up there. So let's go ahead and watch that.
So when I was coming here an hour ago or so, I was intending to ask the Russian ambassador to confirm on the record that the Russian troops will not start firing at Ukrainians today and go ahead with the offensive. It became useless 48 minutes ago. Because about 48 minutes ago, your president declared the war on Ukraine. So now I would like to ask the ambassador of the Russian Federation to say on the record that at this very moment, your troops do not shell and bomb Ukrainian cities, that your troops do not move in the territory of Ukraine.
Look at that geezer.
You have a smartphone. You can call Lavrov right now. We can make a pause to let you go out and call him. If you are not in a position to give an affirmative answer, the Russian Federation ought to relinquish responsibilities of the President of the Security Council, pass these responsibilities on to a legitimate member of the Security Council, a member that is respectful of the Charter.
So I guess the Russian ambassador is the president of the Security Council. Y'all are following. I don't need to update. You get the point. So he's saying that you shouldn't be in this position. And I was also hearing chatter that Ukraine is going to try to challenge the legitimacy of Russia being, I don't know the proper phrasing, the heir of USSR in the UN, right? So they took up the mantle that the USSR had. I'm a little confused. I saw like a little update on this. And that Ukraine is supposed to be the one who took on that mantle. So that would kick Russia out of the Security Council or somehow minimize their power in it. So,
and I ask the members of Security Council to convene an emergency meeting immediately and consider all necessary draft decisions to stop the war.
Claudia asked how old I am. I am 19. And thank you. Yes, just started the channel. Trying to do that grind, get it going. So I would definitely appreciate anything y'all can do, sharing it around. I try to make really good content, videos Monday through Friday. I do my best to do videos Monday through Friday, and I think it's great content. Hopefully y'all think that as well. So please share it around.
Because it's too late, my dear colleagues, to speak about de-escalation. Too late. The Russian president declared the war on the record. Should I play the video of your president? Ambassador, shall I do that right now, or you can't confirm it? Do not interrupt me, please. Thank you.
Oh.
Then don't ask me questions when you are speaking. Proceed with your statement.
Anyway, you declare the war. It is the responsibility of this body to stop the war. So I call on every one of you to do everything possible to stop the war. Or should I play the video with your president declaring the war? Thank you very much.
Against, I must say that I thank the representative of Ukraine for his statement, and the questions, I wasn't planning to answer them because I've already said all I know at this point. Waking up Minister Lavrov at this time is not something I plan to do. You said the information that we have will be something we provide, and this isn't called a war.
This is not the clip I saw. The one that I saw was that same ambassador saying there is no purgatory for war criminals. You're going to go straight to hell. It was pretty epic. Let's see.
Шановні громадяни України, сьогодні вранці президент Путін оголосив проведення спеціальної військової операції на Донбасі. Росія здійснила удари по нашій військовій інфраструктурі та по нашим прикордонникам, прикордонним загонам. В багатьох містах України було чутно вибухи. Ми вводимо воєнний стан на всій території нашої держави. Хвилину тому я провів розмову з президентом Байденом. Сполучені Штати Америки вже почали гуртувати міжнародну підтримку.
So Zelenskyy introduced martial law, and then also right here is recapping his call with Biden. Because he's obviously not speaking English, no reason to really watch it. I can read out the information on that. I think, let's see, Biden, Zelenskyy call. A call between U.S. President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy on Thursday did not go well, a senior Ukrainian official told CNN amid disagreements over risk levels. This is not about what we're talking about. Why is this the first thing to pop up? Here we go. Nope. Okay, y'all. Let's see if we can get back to some live coverage. That's not. Claudia said, I subscribed after your appearance on David Pakman. Yeah, that was awesome. The Logical Danger said, that is where I learned about you from David Pakman. And then, what's that first word? Pakman sent us eyes glazed over. What does that mean? No. I'm so grateful for that. I had a lot of fun at that event. Super happy he was willing, because I reached out kind of later after I think he had already decided who he was going to send. And I just told him, listen, if you could shout me out, that would make a huge difference, because, I just started the channel. Obviously, the grind. It takes a lot to get up and running, kind of that first few months of doing a political show like this. So it would make a huge difference if you would shout me out. And then obviously he did, and it made a huge difference. And I got a bunch of amazing people like y'all to watch me. So where did my... We'll go to YouTube here. That's me. Let's see. Live. These are all the people I watch. All right, here we go.
Next, Tom Brady is trading in his cleats and scrimmages for scripts and rehearsals.
Tom Terrific officially announced his retirement earlier this month.
I don't know if this is a replay or something, but why the heck are we talking about this? We're witnessing a war start, and you're talking about Tom Brady. Okay. Claudia said, will you be on his show or a life reporter again? Nice combination, you and David. Thank you. I am going to try on my end to do that again. That would be really fun for me. And I just think the value that is gained from actually having conversations, because the clips y'all saw obviously were the outrageous ones. And I would say most of my conversations were sort of outrageous with people, but we talk so much about Trump supporters and about their opinions. And so actually speaking with them and hearing them articulate the things that we attribute them to believing, was super, super valuable and gave me kind of some insight into who these supporters are. But they kind of fit the stereotype. I'm going to be honest. They kind of did. But yeah, I hope to do it again for sure.
Went to Moscow in recent weeks to try to prevent what we're seeing right now. But he was not in negotiation mode. He was in assessment mode. He was testing us, and he's testing us now. And that's why it's so important that the world comes together and responds strongly to this, because there will be other dictators, other people who've got territorial eyes on other countries who are watching how this will unfold. So what we're seeing today is not just about Ukraine. It is being watched by strong men all around the world who may have territorial designs on their neighbours. And that's why it's so important that the democratic world comes together and reacts in as strong a way as possible.
And just finally, a word, if you will, for the people of Ukraine who are, well, many of them, as we can see there, fleeing.
Yeah, so as you can see, I'd seen a little bit of this in the coverage. This is a shot of kind of the border, and now they've switched it, but there's those huge armored vehicles coming in. Look at this right there. You can see a tank. Guys, this is out of the movies. Look at this. They're going to war. What on earth? And then this is obviously all the different, or all the people who are trying to get out of Kiev. Am I pronouncing that right? Kiev? Wow. Let's see.
Vasilenko, who is a member of the Ukrainian parliament, and she was clear that Ukraine is now at war with Russia, and it should be described as such.
These are Ukrainian territories which are occupied today not by separatists but by Russian armies, irregular forces of the Russian military, and also regular Russian military, which has broken Ukrainian borders, which is bombing Ukrainian airports, and which is literally marching onto Kiev and other cities. So this must be very clear. We're not talking about any kind of civil war or any hints at civil war. Literally, Ukraine is at war, a war which was declared by Russia at 5 a.m. this morning, Kiev time officially, and 3 a.m. UK time, but also...
Let's see, some comments. So scary for the people in Ukraine, the logical danger said. Seriously, I can't, obviously us as people, or I don't know where all y'all live, but for me, living in the United States, I've never thought, I've never had to be concerned about that coming in and me having to worry about where I go, bomb shelters. They're saying there's some bomb shelters that they're asking citizens to go to. Look at this. Some people say Kiev, but I don't know anymore. Okay. Kiev sounds a little more bougie. I'll use that one. I remember watching the first Gulf War on CNN. That was nuts too. Wow. Interesting. Different ways to say Kiev. Okay. That makes me feel good. And all the broadcasts had like a 10-second delay, so the interviews were horrible. Yeah. That's the that's the funniest part of watching, channels like CNN whenever they are doing those long distance interviews. And it's like, so what are you, or sorry. Here's like whatever, Don Lemon. So what are you hearing on the ground? And then the reporter's like, thanks, Don. It's so awkward, but it was blowing my mind though, the resources that CNN has, because at a drop of a hat, they cut to a shot of like 10 different correspondents all across Ukraine and in Russia and in other countries. It's pretty amazing. What was weirding me out about it is that they have all these resources and they literally can cut to somebody in any place on the world, it seems, whose full-time job is covering this type of stuff, and yet they still spend most of their coverage on, Trump and stuff like that, when they could be diving into so many different amazing issues across the world. And by amazing, I mean significant, not necessarily positive. Both Gulf Wars, the U.S. had tanks rolling into Iraq. Wow. We didn't have the satellite coverage back then that we do now. True. Okay, let's see.
Planes. Now, all of this is difficult to confirm. We also know from the separatists, and this has been obviously, as we were hearing from that member of parliament just now, a separatist battle for 8 long years, but backed by Russian money, Russian military support, Russian proxy soldiers. But now we have the actual army going in full force. And that is an utterly different scenario, that Ukraine now faces Russian troops rather than Russian-backed separatist forces. But in any case, the separatist leaders are saying that they have pushed through the line of contact, the borders essentially.
Claudia said Trump's quid pro quo with against Russia, he and Putin working together. Now Putin invading Ukraine. Does it all go together somehow? If by go together, you mean there's probably some overlap in what has affected what and what has led to what, maybe. I don't think there's really any causation between any of those things. I will say I'm glad that Biden is in power right now, because if Putin was trying to do this under Trump, like I don't really, but the people who are like, Russia gay, I get what they mean. Like, there were certain elements of the media that overplayed what the association was between Trump and Putin. Like, some of them made it out that Putin was operating Trump like a puppet, right? That's over dramatic, and I get why that's upsetting. But the people who won't let you talk at all about the connections and the odd relationship between the two of them, and the way that Trump was so enamored by Putin, is so annoying that people are like, that's Russia gay. Okay, whatever. So, to that point, if Trump was managing this right now, he would be, I just don't, well, for one, he wouldn't be as clear and concise with his actions, but then also I think he would have given way too much trust to Putin's word, like he did a few times, and believed Putin when he said he wasn't going to invade, and all these things that wouldn't have prepared us well. At least Biden has been clear. If you invade, we'll do this. We're not going to do this and this, clear on what the United States believes and like where we stand in this issue. And that's what on a lot of my videos I've said, listen, I have so many problems with Biden on so many issues. I'm going to criticize him. I have criticized him a lot. And, of course, I think he's much better than Trump. But I understand why people are getting upset to the point where they're not even wanting to support him or the Democrats in upcoming elections. I get all of that anger. Of course, I'm going to encourage you when it comes down to Republicans versus Democrats to vote for the Democrats. But I, of course, agree with the sentiment of like, why do we keep having to vote for a party that makes us promises and then breaks them? With that being said, on this, I think Biden's pretty much done exactly what he should have throughout this whole process. So, all right, lots of comments, sorry. Oh my gosh, I missed so many things. Okay, Trump just literally blew Putin on TV. I read that before I processed it. Oh, yeah, totally. Parroting the keeping the peace line from the Kremlin. Definitely. This is weird. Subscribe on Spotify, lol. Oh, if you mean to me, then I have a point on that. I think there's... Okay, so I used to have a show called The Luke Beasley Show, which is what I have now. But it was like a entertainment podcast / YouTube show. It wasn't politics. And that's also when I was releasing music and blah, 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 blah. That was kind of my path. And then I did a course correction, and now I'm doing this. Because I just like politics is so much more important to me. And I think about it way too much not to actually try to make it a career type thing. So with that being said, I'm going through the process, and we'll have probably in the next day, all my videos will now be uploaded as podcasts. So if you want to like listen to them while you're doing other stuff and not just watch my videos, those will be up at the same time that my videos come up. And so hopefully it'll be like every day you get that 8 to 18 minute clip, 8 to 18 minute audio from my video clips that you can listen to. So that's the update on that. Like I said, by end of day Friday, that'll be all uploaded, my old videos, and then you can expect every day for a podcast to come out. That's my story of the day. Okay. Luke, you broadcast bar SMC Financial said, Luke, you have a really good style on here. Great work. Thank you so much. So much. I really, really value all of y'all's input because, as I've said many times, it's so brand new that I'm trying to figure it out a little bit and like want to know how y'all feel. What do you like? What do you dislike? So that I can really make it as good as it can be. Is it Blinky Land said Trump has a solid history of Russian dealings. True. Claudia said long pre-planning. Ukraine did not deliver dirt on Biden. Long pre-planning. Ukraine did not deliver. I'm trying to get on your level. I don't know if I completely understand what you're saying / agree. Like, don't know if I agree either. But I don't know. Crazy things. Aaron said Trump wouldn't care about this conflict. True. Blankyland said Manafort, Trump's campaign manager, I think you were going to say, gave Trump's opposition polling data to Russians. The Logical Danger said Trump's approval of Putin's invasion is horrific. Trump, as president, would be trying to figure out how he could invade other countries. Y'all want to watch that again? That was insane. Trump, as one of our precious commenters said, he blew Putin on national TV. Love it. Let's go ahead and watch that. Trump, Putin smart.
So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen. There were more army tanks than I've ever seen. They're going to keep peace all right. No, but think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well. Very, very well.
And the Washington Post put it this way tonight. Trump's reaction to Putin's invasion of Ukraine is exactly as you declared.
So, Putin calls a territory that is already part of a sovereign nation his and sends troops into that region. And Trump calls it genius. Isn't that so smart? He's such an idiot. Okay, I don't like using any terms like that. I like to explain why people are idiots and not call them it. Applauding an authoritarian leader for trying to take over another country is idiotic. There. Paul said, how are you guys? I'm good. Broadcast Bar said, Luke, do you think there is room for a third party in the United States? Is there room? Like, would it be cool to have a third party, and would it work? Like, if we could get there, would it work? Yes. And I think that would absolutely help to break down the duopoly. Do I think that's something that could actually happen and a reasonable thing to push for right now? No. There's no way we're going to make that dramatic of a change to the system without having power over the system. And right now we just don't. We need more AOCs, Ilhan Omar's, not really these days, but like Nina Turner's, Katie Porter, Ayanna Pressley, Jamal Bowman. We need more of those type leaders, and even better, to have control, like real power and control in Congress before we can imagine a world where we change it in such a dramatic fashion where third parties would even be viable. Because right now in our current election system, it's just impossible to win nationally, but even most state things too, as a third party candidate. So that's my answer to that. Claudia, you said never mind. I'm sorry that I didn't have a better response to you. Aaron said, I have no idea who you are. What is your background? I'm Luke. My background, I was in school. I'm in school now. And have jobs. And pretty much just all I did outside of all my free time was spent learning and researching and being interested in politics. And so now I'm going to school for that, and just thought, like, what would be cooler than being able to not only be learning about politics and interested in it, but also like share my views and educate people, and hopefully in a tiny little way try to move the country forward and try to make more people progressive, That's why you'll see my videos, a lot of left-wing commentators do a lot of insulting and screaming at other people, which I get, and just attacking the right wing, which is awesome. It's the right thing to do. I try to be as non-antagonistic as possible so that people who are not on the left can watch me and maybe get swayed, and that's why you'll see me a lot of times try to say, if you're a conservative, like, please listen, because it would be so awesome to actually move a good bit of conservatives or even moderate Democrats over to being full-on progressives. So Trump would be sending arms to Russia, Jesse says. Nice. Claudia responded to Paul and said screws. All right, I'm going to get to the other comments. Let's fit in a little bit of updates first.
Crimea was one thing. It is a very small territory. It was bloodless. This is not going to be bloodless. So, I hope that Tony Brenton is right, that he's not going to go further. I just feel slightly as though he pulled the wool over all of our eyes with that talk of security guarantees. And there is a part of me that feels that he was never really that interested in trying to find
Aaron,
a
I want to
diplomatic
respond to that
solution
comment, so
at any point. And
stick
just
with
from
me, I'm
watching
gonna
him over the
respond in a
last
second.
few days and watching the vehemence of his speeches and watching the way that he has treated his top security officials around him, I think that he has been making the decisions himself. Yesterday, I spoke to one of the 351 MPs who have just been sanctioned by the EU for saying yes to independence for the separatist republics earlier this week. And the last thing he said to me was, "I promise you we want peace. I promise."
Broadcast bar. That's so sweet. Okay, one second.
Been 24 hours later, and Vladimir Putin has declared war on Ukraine. And in the speech that he gave a few days ago, he didn't go so far as declaring war, but that's what it sounded like. So I think it's one man here making decisions. And of course, we don't know how far they go, but this is an incredibly bad moment.
It is.
Okay, so that's interesting. From her reporting, wow, it's very Putin solo decision making, which is crazy that one guy can destabilize the world. That's crazy. Okay, back to comments. So Broadcast Bar said, "I'm a conservative, but I've been a subscriber from the start. We don't have to hate each other, do we?" That is awesome. That is so good to see. I agree. We don't have to hate each other. What gets tough is just from my quick scan of the situation, it seems like you might be a conservative who is like conservative on issues, but kind and empathetic still, right? What gets tough is a lot of views that I see to be conservative views get a little too hateful for me to like bear, right? So if I have friends and like in my head it sounds so good, we should just be able to be friends and love each other and have different political views. And it's true. Like I have people who in the primary supported Biden, right? And I supported Bernie. So that could cause some tension, but we love each other. But the reason is because we disagree on things that to me aren't fundamental to the quality of the human being and their heart, right? But there's some issues that I see conservatives talk about and their views on certain things are too hateful for me to get past and ignore, you know? But the fact that you're like intellectually honest enough to go consume media that isn't aligned with your exact views is very, very good and shows a lot of wisdom. And that's really admirable. Because even me, like I feel well-rounded because I do a lot of reading and analysis from different parts of the spectrum, but I don't go watch like right-wing shows, you know? Like I'll find clips that I find interesting, but like to talk about, but I don't go watch Tucker Carlson because I would be driven insane. It'd make me so mad. So being able to do that, I think, does mean you can kind of see the validity in a number of different viewpoints, which is cool. Aaron said, also, any predictions on how this Ukraine-Russia conflict will play out? I'm trying to read the other ones. I don't know how this is going to play out, y'all. This is, I guess, I don't know. I like having answers to things, but I don't know about this one. I really don't. As I learn more, listen to what other people are, like, you know, experts are saying, I'll try to come to you with a better prediction. But right now it's like, okay, they're going to go to war for a bit, and then maybe they strike some agreement, like the West and Russia. I don't know. I think you're correct. I know friends who support third parties, but it's never enough to get someone elected. Yeah, I totally get why you'd want to. We have these two options, and a lot of times neither of them are good. So I get why it's like, so can we have a third option? But it's just so hard to get, like you said, Andrew, get somebody elected. Kathleen said you have to maintain your empathy. Agree. The third, or the logical danger said, today's Republican Party is no longer conservative, it's fascist. But people mistakenly think republicanism equals conservatism. That's totally right. So I have friends and family who are conservative. So they are small government, but are influenced a lot by their Christian views and aren't completely libertarian. That's like conservatism, right? And that, you can see how that happens, how that makes sense in your head. But as the logical danger pointed out, that's not the Republican Party anymore. Trump wasn't even that conservative. He did a lot of things while president that weren't traditionally conservative. A lot of Republicans have done that throughout history. But regardless, I agree with that. And I think if you're somebody who kind of just tends to think we shouldn't spend so much on social programs, and you believe the free market can figure things out, and while I disagree with you, I don't think that makes you a bad person. You know, I think you can be I know people who are amazing people who believe that. And so those are people I can definitely get along with and just disagree. It's the people who are okay with like Tucker Carlson's rhetoric on certain things and don't want any material on race or LGBTQ issues to be in schools. Like, I don't know how to get along with people who have those views, you know? I'm going to get... How about set up a poll and ask folks how long they think the conflict will last? I don't know how to do that. But that's a good idea. Oh, I missed Aaron had said something earlier. I wanted to... Side note, Aaron says, it seems like I agree with you on some topics. Any thoughts on Hassan? How do you even say that? I've never said that out loud. I know, you know, obviously Hassan Piker, but Hassan Abbey or Vosh. So, okay, it's in your settings. I can tell you, getting this set up, this computer is so low quality that it's being held together by chewing gum and duct tape. So I don't want to put in too much strain, because when I was about to go live, I like tried to open too many tabs and my computer just shut down. Not shut down, but like froze, and I had to shut it down. So because everything's working correctly, I'm going to not do that, but that would be cool to see how people feel. Okay, so on the Hassan Vosh, I'm so new, right, to the left. Not the left, I've been on the left for a while, but to the online left, that I don't want to start fights this early. Not that they would see my commentary, but I don't want it out there that I like hate certain people. And I think the left needs to do a better job of uniting. If the online left cannot get along, I don't know how we're going to create a movement. But with that being said, I don't know what y'all have seen. If you've watched my videos, you've seen who I'm kind of talking about with my anger. I don't know what some of these people on the left, including Hassan, are doing. Like, I don't know where their analysis comes from. They're pretty good on most issues that I see them talking about. And then they talk about Russia and Ukraine, and it's like they're so blinded by, I don't know, anti-American sentiment, or that's the only thing I can think that makes sense. I think there's some people who are in the believe everything Russia says camp. I don't think that's as much for where Hassan falls into. He just seems to not be able to believe that America could be the good guy in this situation, and that Russia could be just completely irrationally doing this, not trying to have some diplomatic solution be found. So poke the bear. Yeah. Oh, and you asked about Vosh. So yeah, the reason you probably agree with a lot of my opinions is because I'm a lefty. So like you said, Bernie Sanders, love him. Vosh, I like Vosh. Again, being just of what I've seen so far, I almost get afraid to say that, right? Because so many people are. What's the phrase? What am I thinking of? Just inhumanely, not inhumanely, like unnaturally hateful towards Vosh. But I've watched him for a while and agree with a lot of his stances on things. So definitely his coverage of Russia, Ukraine has been way better. Him and David Pakman have both nailed it. I think Kyle Kalinske, little iffy. Like his discussion with Vosh was really good. Kind of Vosh really effectively laid out where Kyle was in the wrong. And then I love the Young Turks. They also have been a little bit too sympathetic to Russia, in my opinion. I think I'm not at all saying it's been terrible. I think they've done a pretty good job, but they've also kind of had everyone's over dramatizing that we could be going to war, blah, 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 blah. But as we're seeing, like clearly clearly mainstream media wasn't over dramatizing this. I mean, we're seeing it right now. So, but like I said, yeah, like David Pakman and Vosh have both had really good coverage on this whole situation. Pakman is badass. He's able to talk about politics in a profound way. Don't you just love David Pakman? So awesome. Kathleen said, hey, you are going good. I have been watching since I saw you on Pakman. Keep it up. Thank you so much. I'm loving it. I love interacting with smart people like yourselves, and I hope it grows. You should probably look deeper into Hassan. Both Vosh and Hassan have some pretty well-founded reasons for their opinions, even when they're unpopular. Also agree with you on Pakman and Kyle. So, I don't know. When I've watched Hassan's commentary, it seems not so based on deep research, you know? It's kind of him just emotionally responding, and because he has this bias towards going against the United States' word and actions and such, which is mostly justified because the United States does do a lot of bad stuff, but in this case, it's just not. And then I think after he made his first proclamation, he's kind of just wanted to dig his heels in. I saw a tweet from him that was like, "This is the hill I'm going to die on." But yeah, Vosh has been getting really angry though about some of this. Cracks me up. But he's right about this whole situation. The Logical Danger said, "I can't stand the Young Turks. They're whiny and inconsistent in their positions." Interesting. I really admire Cenk just because he's an example of someone who's really put his values to the test. Not the test, like he's really manifested his beliefs in real life and like actually tries to do the work that will make the real improvements that he wants to see and that progressives believe in. Like, you know, him and Kyle and one other person started the Justice Democrats, and now see how much positive impact they've had, the Justice Democrats. And I think it was a lot of the power of the Young Turks kind of audience and network that rose the awareness of people like AOC, Cori Bush, etc. So I admire that. But I definitely, of course, as with everybody, have disagreements, and that's okay. But I think if like people like the Young Turks, David Pakman, Kyle Kalinske, Vosh, Hassan, can't look past their differences and be a united front, I think there's not a ton of hope for us to really create a united movement. Because think about how much unity there was around Bernie. And then once he fell out of the primary, it's like the whole online left just fell apart. And now we're divided into all these factions. Even though the disagreements are significant, like over this Ukraine-Russia thing, I've gotten so mad at a lot of the views that people have had on the left. But it doesn't mean I don't think we can get along. Hey, Luke, are you going to play some voicemails? I don't have any voicemail function yet, but when I can do that, that'll be fun. Claudia said Pakman started like Luke. Wait 20 years and watch Luke grow. Sheesh, true. But y'all are going to get me to that level much quicker than 20 years. But yeah, that's really cool, you know. Lackman, indeed, yes. I don't know what that means, but I think it may have been Pakman. People like to take Hassan out of context. He retracted that statement. Most of his opinions are pretty based. Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know about I do think everyone kind of gets taken out of context, so that's true. On this, maybe I just haven't seen enough of him. It seems like he just kind of has the wrong opinion on the Russia-Ukraine, but maybe he's changed it, and you're right. But I definitely agree. Most of his advocacy is really positive. Don't love TYT so much these days, but I used to. Cenk has had some really bad takes at times that are hard to defend. Yeah, and when he has a view, you know, he pushes it hard. So if you disagree with it, it's going to be annoying. If you have an example, I would love to know, because I'm curious if I would agree with you. Like what you think his worst take has been that kind of makes him hard to watch now for you. The Logical Danger said, I agree with that. People need to be able to work together on the issues they both support, even if they disagree on other issues. Totally agree. Claudia said, Farron Cousins, Brian Tyler Cohen, Glenn Gershner. I haven't heard that last one. I love Farron Cousins, love Brian Tyler Cohen, for sure. And they're really good about not getting all tied up in like the online left drama and really just covering the issues, which I love. Kathleen said, Andrew Nance. I'm kind of losing it on them as well. Are we talking about TYT? Wait. Andrew said. Who are we talking about? I missed what y'all talking about. All right, let's see what this is saying.
Talking to a mother a couple of days ago who told me that she had her car filled with petrol, her suitcases packed, and was ready to get out of the capital if an invasion did happen with her 10-year-old son and her husband. That's the kind of pressure these people have been living under. Yeah, heartbreaking stories, and there will be many more heartbreaking stories as a serious military operation is underway in Ukraine, launched by the Russian leader Vladimir Putin
in the early hours of this morning. And good morning to you. It is 9 o'clock in the UK, 11 o'clock here in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. And our breaking news this morning is that it is war. President Putin's military operation in Ukraine is well underway as the Ukrainian president urges world leaders to help protect the country's airspace from Russian forces. A fire breaks out at the airport in Ukraine's port city of Mariupol as Russia launches their attack on its neighbour. Explosions have also been heard in various Ukrainian cities, including the capital, Kiev, minutes after President Putin announced the start of Russia's military offensive.
I decided to conduct a special military operation. Its goal is the protection of the people who, for 8 years, suffered from abuse and genocide from the Kiev regime.
Sky News understands that the borders of 4 regions of Ukraine have been breached by Russian forces as new pictures show military convoys advancing. Mariupol pictures show Ukrainian tanks and soldiers taking up their positions as Kiev claims it's killed about 50 Russians and destroyed 6 planes in the country's east.
Do not panic. We are strong. We are ready for everything and we will defeat everyone because we are Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine.
I'll respond to comments, but this is a really good update.
Latest pictures from the capital, Kiev, show long queues of traffic on roads heading out of the city. In Downing Street, Boris Johnson chairs a Cobra meeting to discuss the UK's response.
The decision to invade Ukraine, as I say, completely unprovoked, completely unjustified, and it will be met with an unprecedented response from the international community.
The European Union has vowed to hold the Kremlin accountable, promising the harshest sanctions.
It is President Putin who is bringing war back to Europe. And in these dark hours, the European Union and its people stand by Ukraine and its people.
We'll have the latest from Ukraine and Moscow and London and Washington throughout the morning.
Cool. So, this is hard to process. I'm just trying to not view this as, like, obviously it's interesting, but not view it as like a movie. Oh, look, war. This is real lives at stake, and understanding and trying to put myself in the shoes of citizens who live in Ukraine, are having to leave their homes, not knowing if it's going to be blown up when they get back, not knowing if they'll be able to come back, like how scary and unsettling that would be. Let's see. Andrew said, Luke, man, you got to set up your super chats. True. I apologize. I need to figure out how to do that. Lots to do, guys. What's up, everyone? I love all those guys. Says, oh, we got a new chatter. Fillion? Yeah, Fillion Reynolds. Howdy. I love those guys. Justice matters. And I love when BTC drops an F-bomb when he's pissed. Yeah, Brian Tyler Cohen he's good. He's the real deal. His podcast, No Lie, is super good. I'm not familiar with this Glenn character. I need to go look him up. Kathleen says justice matters. I agree. Andrew says I wish Glenn had again. I don't know if that is. Sorry. U.S. stands with Ukraine, said Midas Touch is awesome as well. Andrew D'Angelo said, my neighbor is 97 years of age and her husband was in World War II. Wow. She says, this whole situation is much worse. Oh my goodness. That is amazing. Claudia says, we are family. Oh. Kathleen, I love his insight, but I hated the time when he didn't say justice matters at the end of his commentary. Broke my heart. So Andrew, did you, or was it Andrew? Let's see. Who said? Aaron, yeah. Did you say one of the takes that you didn't like? I'm really curious about that.
Taking up positions, defensive positions in Mariupol there. Earlier this morning, US troops in Riga, in Latvia, were seen as NATO allies continued to strengthen their positions on Ukraine's borders. This after the country woke to the sound of explosions. The country's second city, Kharkiv, was rocked by a number of blasts shortly after President Putin announced the intention to invade. And let's listen back to that address on Russian television by Vladimir Putin, which took place in the early hours of the morning.
I decided to conduct a special military operation. Its goal is the protection of the people who, for 8 years, suffered from abuse and genocide from the Kiev regime. We urge you to lay down arms immediately and go home. I will explain. All servicemen of the Ukrainian army who comply with this requirement can freely leave the area of military action and return to their families. Whoever would try to stop us and further create threats to our country, to our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and lead you to such consequences that you have never faced in your history. We are ready for any outcome.
Well, a few hours ago, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy declared martial law here and urged citizens not to panic as Russia launched military strikes. Let's take a look at what he said in a video posted on his social media.
So we saw this. Let's see. Aaron said, I know it was a while ago, but Cenk once described women as poorly designed creatures who do not want to have sex nearly as often as needed for the human race to get along peaceably and fruitfully. Yeah, I'd never seen that. Was that one of the old blogs that they talked about, or was that on his show? Either way, that's disgusting. Maybe he was trying to make a joke. But yeah, that's... Anytime you read out a joke as I just did in that monotone voice, it's going to sound worse, but like, that's not even a good joke to make. So I get why you would not like that. This is boring. Just a view of the square. Let's see. I think the Sky News was our best bet.
The US President Joe Biden says the prayers of the entire world are with the people of Ukraine as they suffer an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces. Mr. Biden went on, President Putin has chosen a premeditated war that will bring a catastrophic loss of life and human suffering and that the world will hold.
I may have, yeah, that's probably the right one. Anyone just joining us, to kind of give the quick update, Russia has fully invaded Ukraine, started bombing the capital city as well as other cities, and tanks have been seen and other military equipment coming across the border in a clear, full-scale invasion. So that's what we're covering right now, and I don't really know what to do. It's like, as far as adding commentary, because it's just a little bit hard to believe, but doing the best and trying to gather all the info.
The people, the institutions that prop him up, even if Vladimir Putin doesn't care, the people around him will feel this, and they absolutely will care.
Do you think the invasion could escalate to the U.S. putting troops on the ground in Ukraine? Biden has said multiple times, no. That even if Russia invaded Ukraine, we would not put troops on the ground. So I guess the answer to that question is no, but I do see a world in which it keeps getting worse and we have to escalate. But the tough thing is, there's really not no point, but there's not much of a point to send in troops, because if we put boots on the ground, we're saying we're a part of this war now, and instantly it just becomes a nuclear, flex off. So I think it would instantly just become threatening nuclear war back and forth. So I see before the I think it's much more likely that we somehow, it may be sending troops, honestly, or Russia kind of does a false flag thing where they say they've come across American troops or whatever it is to get us involved. And then from that point on, I just see a Cold War situation. Hopefully not a hot war. Hopefully there's no nukes that end up being actually fired. But yeah, I don't see why we would put troops on the ground, because like I said, when you have two nuclear powers interacting, it's just a guys, my brain is malfunctioning. I've been up so many hours. Sorry. I hate when people complain when they're live streaming. I'm like, then shut up. Stop live streaming. I'm good. Let's see. What was I saying? Yeah, I just don't see a point of putting troops on the ground when, in any way, if we proclaim ourselves to be in the war, it's all of a sudden just a nuclear war, or at least the threat of one. So Hassan tends to have better takes and better reasoning, even when it goes against popular opinion. Not always, but he usually defends his reasoning behind it if you're willing to listen. Okay. Yeah, I like Hassan generally. I also think he just puts out content that is consumable, It's interesting, casual, which I think is beneficial. We want to get people involved who aren't just political nuts, like people who just want to be entertained a little bit, and then Hassan ends up convincing them to be on the left. Like, I think that's really good. I agree it would be terrible and show we learned nothing from Vietnam and Korea. Welcome to Cold War Part 2. True. I don't think Russia wants the U.S. involved. They want us to stay on our own side of the ocean. Yeah, I definitely agree. The way I worded one of those sentences made it sound like I was saying that Russia would try to get us involved. I agree with you. I don't think they want us involved, but at some point, if we do get more involved than we already are, and it's direct, then that's kind of what I'm saying, where I don't think there would be some big ground battle. It would more just be the threat of nuclear attacks. I don't think any of us know what to say here. I think we're all mostly just, I put all in there. We are mostly just trying to cope with a situation that could go out of control, and we have no idea who's making these decisions. Yeah, I agree with you. These are the moments where you're like, I really hope there's smarter people in our government, but I kind of know that there's not. Yeesh. Example of what you find there. Russia has reportedly announced that they are closing down all of the shipping lanes in the Sea of Azov between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine war. Example of what you find where? I'm confused where that came from. In response to Claudia, definitely not going to defend Cenk's take on women and or, I don't know what that last word is. Coffee break for me, 10:15 in Germany. Oh, nice. I wish I could have some coffee right now. So, yeah, about the Cenk thing, I just think, like, when I look at his broader career, he's done a ton of advocacy for women, women's rights, closing the pay gap. He's very respectful. So I think, like, that joke is just reprehensible, right? Or that, not even joke, I don't know if it's joke. That statement is reprehensible, but then also taking into the full context of, like, what he's been doing for the last number of years and how he's treated people, I think makes me want to be more sympathetic. But oh, harem is multiple women for one man. Interesting. I've never understood that, y'all. I can only handle one partner. I could not handle more. That would be crazy. Oh, hi, Claudia. Didn't know you were in Germany. That's awesome. I hope to visit one day. Nice. Germany. I guess YouTube deleted my previous comment with the Reddit link. From my end, it looks like it went through, but I guess not. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. So up on the screen, you can see, or I guess, which way is this? This way? Wait, I need my thing to update. Yeah. Right there. That was a lot of effort to do that. You can see the clips we talked about earlier. Tanks in this upper right-hand corner. That's kind of blocking it now. Rolling through, and armored vehicles in the other shot. And then on the left here, I guess that's just a shot of Kiev, kind of to see what it looks like. There is some people just walking on the streets. That's crazy. Men who think a harem is a good idea haven't been married. Nice. Love it. So this Reddit live thread might be worth following for your coverage. Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing the links come in. That's unfortunate. But thank you for trying to provide that. Whatever happened with the Maxwell trial, the child rape cases, and so forth? The highest ranked powers in the world. Oh yeah, they don't want us to know. Right. Yeah, that, I mean, she got sentenced, right? Or at least got found guilty. And why are we just seeing this map so much, y'all? This is too much map. And then I haven't heard anything else since then, but I guess she's going to jail. So that's good. And y'all saw that other Epstein associated person who also was hung in his cell by himself or somebody. If you're interested, you might be able to find the live thread with this. Let me see if I can find it here, and I'll send it over to my computer. Here, while I find that, we can listen to this.
Got down. I mean, how much credibility do we give to these kinds of claims in the early hours of a war like this?
Well, it's so hard to get ground truth, isn't it, when a war is underway. And of course, there will be reporting from the ground, and maybe the numbers are accurate, maybe they're not. It's important for us as journalists to go and
God,
as
look
best
at
you
that.
can to verify. But you will be hearing numbers from either side. You'll hear denials about fatalities. The border guard, the Ukrainian border guard, have said in one of their statements this morning, talking about clashes with Russian forces moving across the border, that they have lost 3 of their own and a number wounded.
This is quite interesting. These pictures are now from Dnipro, which is an interesting place strategically.
Really strategically important. I was there a couple of weeks ago.
Clearly, some sort of attack going on.
It's interesting because that Dnipro is that city, and it's in southeastern Ukraine, and it's an industrial hub for the southeast. It sits on the Dnipro River, strategically vital. The idea, and so going for that city in the way, well, it looks like it's come under attack, does signal that this is a much larger scale attempt to assault Ukraine than a more limited incursion, and incredibly worrying.
And I mean, these pictures are coming in dribs and drabs, and it's very difficult, isn't it, to, clearly say what is going on. But there is also this idea, and attacking Dnipro would fit in with that he wanted to just slice off another.
Oh yeah, I don't have mods yet, so I guess we've resolved the link issue. But I did find that thread, and there's some valuable information I'm reading through. Y'all are so awesome.
Part of Ukraine, like cut off its coastline in particular, that would be devastating for the country. And then you slowly erode the country from within. It becomes a rump state almost. This is an enormous country.
State.
It's like Europe's second largest, let's not forget. However, the idea that you could decapitate it by cutting off that industrial heartland, like Dnipro is, it's a really famous city that it's known for building for its rocket technology, believe it or not, and so attacking that, seizing that, would be a massive blow for Kiev.
Yep. Thanks very much for the moment. Information pretty hard to come by at the moment. What I can tell you is that the Cobra meeting in London appears to have finished. We expect to hear from Boris Johnson sometime shortly. Certainly Dominic Raab and a few others have been seen leaving that meeting. I was saying information hard to come by. Let's go to Diana Magne, who is in Moscow and who may be able to bring us up to date with any more information that is coming from
Let's watch this, and then I have an
Russian
update on
military.
some casualties.
What are you hearing at the moment, Diana?
Well, they have said, the Ministry of Defence, that they give the impression that their attack on Ukrainian air bases...
Goodbye to the people who are heading out. Let's see. Or getting coffee or something. Enjoy your coffee.
was not putting up any resistance, which suggests that they are sending troops across the border, though, of course, we don't know where. And we also know from the separatist commanders in the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics that they have pushed across the line of contact and taken various cities and towns as they try and push out towards the regional borders of Donetsk and Luhansk, which, of course, Vladimir Putin yesterday said that he had implicitly recognized in when he recognized the independence of those.
Get to a quick update on this. Okay, so Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy said Thursday that we talked about this, imposing martial law across the country after Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a military operation targeting eastern Ukraine. NBC News reporters in the central capital of Kiev and the northeast city of, Kharkiv, reported hearing loud explosions or thuds just minutes... There's a typo here, that's funny. Thuds just minutes Putin's announcement. That doesn't make sense. The attacks ended hopes for a diplomatic solution that the United States and its allies had been attempting for weeks. Ukrainian Foreign Minister, this name, tweeted that Putin has just launched a full-scale invasion. So we know all this. I saw something here about here we go. Ukraine announces first casualties, 6 dead in Odessa bombing. Okay.
I've been having stomach troubles. It's
Have
either
you?
yogurt, pork, or citrus. Or almonds. Or maybe it's cinnamon. Now, I could start by removing a lot of things from my diet and adding them back
19
in one at a
seconds.
time until I find the culprit. Or I could find out what might actually be bothering me before removing and
Staying
adding
here while
foods
having
back in
coffee.
again.
I'm in my kitchen with my
I'm
tablet.
gonna do that.
Yay. Thank you for being here. Aaron, I'm going to address that in just a second.
And I do have some bad news to report. This is from one of our fixers, the people who help us translate and understand what's going on in Ukraine. She says that in the city of Podolsk, there was a bombing, 6 dead, 7 wounded, 19 missing. This is the city of Podolsk. It is the first reports that we've had so far of casualties from the early morning aggression, the early morning bombing in multiple cities across Ukraine. Matt, one more question to you. I wonder how much of a threat is it to Vladimir Putin to lose public support? And I ask that because it's not really a democracy over there.
Okay. So, casualties, that's sad. I mean, it's expected when you attack a country. That's what's going to happen. But actually having the first ones reported is a big deal. Let's see. Ukraine isn't part of NATO. People forget this. They are a member of the UN, but that doesn't entitle them to military access to NATO forces. So why are some NATO countries trying to start World War III? Yeah, so you're right. Definitely they're not a part of NATO. And I don't think NATO was even offering to send troops into Ukraine. So I don't know. I guess I agree with you. I don't think wanting NATO to do what it can outside of that to support Ukraine is a bad thing. And then also, I just don't know where we go from here, right? So we impose the sanctions. He doesn't budge. What's next? That's kind of how I'm feeling. And do we just watch a country get taken over? The latest update from Ukrainian police is at least 8 people have been killed by Russian shelling, with 9 others wounded. God! The Ukrainian military says about 50 Russians have been killed and 6 planes have been destroyed in eastern Ukraine. There are many countries not part of NATO: Vietnam, Afghanistan. True?
Прийшли на нашу землю. Україна
This looks like...
атакована з півночі.
Is this happening now?
Атакована з повітря. Захист працює армія і національна солідарність – це на сьогодні головна опора України.
Yeah, well, clearly we are struggling with a translation on what is a pretty important speech by President Zelenskyy. So as soon as we have sorted the translation out, we will go back to President Zelenskyy. In the meantime, let's speak to Ian Bond, who is director of...
Everybody, like the stream if you haven't already. Thank you.
President Zelenskyy.
Everyone who has military experience, who can join the defense of Ukraine, has to come to the military offices of the Ministry of Internal Affairs.
I'm seeing some comments. Let's watch his speech and then I'll respond to them.
Please keep yourself updated on the information. We have wounded soldiers in hospitals
This translator is
that
not doing great.
require blood donations. Please join and donate your blood. we carry out serious work on the defense, and every enterprise, every business person needs to help. Please look after your workers, your employees. All people should have all the necessary facilities and goods. The bank system of Ukraine has got the resources to protect the state, to protect the interests.
Okay. Ukrainian troops have also repelled, for the time being, Russian advances on 2 major cities. That's good. Good for them. I mean, we're watching all of this happen. I'm surprised there's not more online energy. Like, I'm not seeing that many people that at least I follow covering this. Okay.
For us and for Russia. We broke the diplomatic relations with Russia. Ukraine is defending and would not give its freedom, whatever they think in Moscow. For the Ukrainians, our independence and the right to live in our land.
Best Grey Wolf. Yeah, I wasn't even going to try.
In accordance with our will. Russia cowardly attacked our country.
Claudia said, a special thanks to all in the chat who keep us continuously updated with solid data and information. Definitely. How cool is that? When I was about to go live, I was like, it's going to be kind of tough to be watching and pay attention while also finding other things on recent updates, but y'all are doing it all for me. Thank you so much.
Depends on the Russian people. The citizens of Russia will be choosing which path they are personally. For everyone who didn't lose their conscience in Russia, they have to come out and show their protest against this war with Ukraine. And I want separately appeal to the Ukrainian citizens and in Russian for the Russian people. I know that this information you're not going to be shown in your social media or your TV channels, but blocking this is evil. This is the wish to annihilate a nation. This is not possible. You cannot block history. It's impossible. And dear citizens of Ukraine, are strong citizens of Ukraine. Some of you have friends, relatives, journalists in Russia. Who knows bloggers? Please contact them. They have to talk constantly about it. Then Russia will know the truth. This is very important. Thank you very much. We'll be informing you every hour, talking to you, talking with you.
Okay. So that's Ukraine's President Vladimir.
Guys, this is very serious. I have to laugh about something or it's going to be too stressful. Watching them try to live translate that was fun. So, wow. I mean, he repeated it there. This war. This is an attempt to annihilate a nation. Like, it's crazy. The Logical Danger said, I'm in the Midwest and awake. Sorry, holding in burps. I mean, that is why most of the people Luke follows aren't saying anything. They're likely most from the U.S. and sleeping. That is very true. Not everyone gets off work in the middle of the night. Chamapa is a bad bot. Ignore or delete. I'm not seeing anybody by that. Oh, I see it. How do I delete? I don't know. Oh, I can remove. There we go. Nice. I'm in Maryland. Hey. What time is it? I don't even know what time it is. 1:35 a.m. Okay. I'm in California right now, y'all. My hometown is Austin, Texas, but I'm in California at the moment. So Pacific time. This guy looks interesting.
Is actually doing.
Phil, it's been about 6 hours now since Vladimir Putin came out, did that televised address saying that the invasion of Ukraine was on, essentially, during the UN Security Council meeting. What's transpired in that?
Let's see.
What is the word from Kyiv? How, are people responding? Anyone there responding to President Putin, Russian president, saying that he is going to supply this special military operation to protect Donbass?
It's too early for a response, Don, if I'm absolutely honest, because this has come out of nowhere. This speech by Vladimir Putin on Russian media.
We're gonna get to the part where he has to put on bomb gear, but it's 4:35 here. That's crazy. Are you up for the morning, or are you up at, like, did you go to bed and you woke up really early, or have you not gone to sleep yet? Fillion says, Austin, hell yeah, I went to St. Edward's. Nice, yeah, I know St. Edward's well. I am hoping to transfer to UT. We'll see. And if not, I might try to apply to St. Ed's. Because I want to move back to Austin. And so then I want to go to a school there to continue my education. Oh, this is the interesting part. One second.
Putin is on the hands of the Ukrainians who resist. Oh, I tell you what, I just heard a big bang right here behind me. I thought we shouldn't have done the live shot here. There are big explosions taking place in Kiev right now. I can't see where they're taking place from this vantage point here on top of the roof of the hotel in central Kiev. And I can't explain what they are, but I heard
Fillion, you're living in Houston. Nice.
Explosions a few moments ago. I don't know whether our viewers
Aaron, also in California, about to go to sleep. Okay.
We can hear it, Matthew. What I just heard.
Sweet dreams, Aaron. I appreciate you being with us. Bed, woke up to Bed, woke up to potty, checked to see if Russia invaded. Know what? I can't go back to sleep now. Going to make coffee. Oh, that's awesome. International chat. Hello, world. Yeah, exactly. I'm from Central Europe, and we call Jim Putler because he acted like 1938 with Sudetenlands, with every similar propaganda. He is insane, like Hitler was. We just see it live now. Isn't that amazing?
No,
I'm up for the day
no,
now.
Absolutely not.
Thanks.
This is the first time.
Good.
This is the
Morning.
first time that we've heard anything.
In Ohio,
Like,
wow.
It's been
Dang, you're
absolutely
grinding.
silent in this city throughout the course of tonight, and for past several weeks, we've not seen anything at all. In fact, I've never heard anything like this in Kiev for the years that I've been coming here and reporting from here. So this is the first time. But look, it's going to be more than just a coincidence. I can hear rumblings right now.
Matthew, is it safe
location
where
I
you
can't
are?
quite pinpoint. Yeah, I think it's relatively safe at the moment. Look, I've got a. Oh,
there's another one.
I've got a flak jacket right here. Let me just get it on.
So
I've been
Matthew
told by our
Chance is
security
in
that we need to get a
live for us in Kyiv, Ukraine. Matthew, we're going to stick with you. Matthew is on a roof in central Kyiv, he's telling us, and just for the first time, just moments ago, you witnessed live on this program explosions. Again, he doesn't know exactly what those explosions are, but he says it's the first time that he...
That is wild. Never check YouTube when you want to go to bed. That is so true. So true. All right, y'all. I'm going to grab some ice cream because there's much more to cover. And I need an incentive to stay awake. So let me turn this back on, and I will go get some ice cream and be right back.
Boss, and then just
I'm not going to
minutes
turn on
after
my
that
camera. I'm just
speech
going to leave.
aired on state television, our Matthew Chance is doing a live shot for us here at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock a.m. in Ukraine. and there are explosions. Again, not exactly sure what they are, but Matthew Chance is getting into place now, and he's live. Matthew, are you back with us? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you throughout all of that. I'm sorry about the
Matthew, just so you know, your flak jacket is covering your microphone. If you can somehow get it out.
Right. Yep, here it is.
There you go. Now, loud and clear, Matthew. Go ahead, please. And please, if you're safe, you need to put on your headgear, or you're good.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
So look,
We're good.
sorry, I think I've broken my microphone as I put on the flak jacket. But look, there you go.
Okay.
I'll have to hold it in front of me like a little mic. But
Okay. So Matthew,
look, I mean, over the past.
I want you to stand by. We'll
go
keep
ahead.
Matthew up. Matthew, don't go anywhere because I want to get to Clarissa Ward. She's in Kharkiv, and I understand, Clarissa, you are hearing blasts as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a few minutes now. We have been hearing a steady stream of loud strikes. It's not clear exactly what they are targeting.
y'all.
The city is eerily quiet still. Most people probably fast asleep when President Putin made that surprise speech announcing essentially the beginning of serious military action. We don't know exactly what those strikes are targeting, but our colleague Fred Pleiken, who is on the Russian side of the border, just about 30 miles away, has said that he has been hearing helicopters in the skies in
Taking a quick break and letting the video run is totally a Hassan move. Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta get the pick-me-up to keep moving. Can't wait to wake up to World War III tomorrow. Yeah, that's not the best thing to look forward to. Yeah, the reporters are so brave. It's insane. Let's keep watching this.
It's actually quiet for a moment. We have been hearing a steady stream of thuds all around the city. We are in the city of Kharkiv. It's a city of 1.4 million people up in the northeast of the country. It is not a city that is accustomed to war. It has been hit heavily in the Second World War. But this is a city full of young professionals. And up until a few days ago, nobody would have believed that this was actually going to happen.
Someone told me that CNN is really bad about copyright stuff. I don't want to get that happening. I don't know. We'll keep playing it. Whatever.
Donbass, and moments after that, blasts were heard, where Matthew Chance is now in the city of Kyiv. Clarissa Ward also hearing steady blasts in Kharkiv or Kharkiv. Kharkiv is how she is pronouncing it there. And that had just happened moments ago. Clarissa, before I get back to Matthew, Matthew said that he had not heard anything, any blast, any...
Update from Andrew. Ukraine's defense minister called on anyone looking to take up arms against Russian forces to enlist with the country's territorial defense units. Wow. All anyone needs to sign up is a Ukrainian passport. He said Ukraine is moving into all-out defense mode. Wow. From the New York Times. Thank you, thank you. Got to get bigger for a copyright strike. Oh, you do? Oh, good. So I can do whatever I want.
Borne out when you look at the buildup on the Russian side.
Is that what you meant?
See
That they don't
the
copyright
amount of
strike
weaponry
small
and
people?
Hardware and troops. This is clearly an operation on a much larger scale than anything Ukraine has witnessed in 8 years of this war. And what's just so striking is that the mayor of Kharkiv yesterday had put out a tweet basically telling people, continue about your daily business, stay calm, stay unified. The city services are still working. You should still go to work. And less than 24 hours later, here we are, the beginning of a major military operation. I would like to say that there are bomb shelters in this city, one that's not too far away from here. But so far, there's no sense that there's any way of telegraphing to ordinary people that this has begun or of giving them any sense of how they should behave, where they should go, what they should do.
Oh, yeah. I'm fine if this gets demonetized. That's okay.
into this city, hours ago. We saw a couple of checkpoints to go in and to go out, but that was about it. And so you definitely don't have the sense here that people are really properly prepared for this moment, Victor.
All right, it's done. Stand by. I want you to stand by. I'm going to get back to Matthew Chance. Matthew, joining us now. Matthew, you put on your gear.
Best Grey Wolf says I could. What's the worst thing that happens? They just demonetize you, and that's fine. Now he's in his little bomb jacket.
Happening to you in Kyiv. Any explosions?
Well, actually, since we last spoke, it's gone quiet again. But we did hear that flurry of explosions, maybe 7 or 8 different distinct explosions, but they seem quite distant away. I mean, it's when you come under artillery fire or you hear explosions close up, you can really tell how close they are, and these seem like quite a distance away. You could hear them in the distance.
You're out of your room, wear your mask, okay, and practice social distancing.
This is not what
that
we
is
want.
important.
Dr. Ali, thank you for the advice and tips.
Oh, here we go. This is what we want. Nope. That's unfortunate. David, there he is. All right, let's see. What can we get here? Guys, this is bleak. They want me to make my own content right now? Sheesh. Can't just watch somebody else's? With the first strike, I believe you lose the ability to live stream for a couple weeks. Ah, no. My message seems to be disappeared. I see that one. You need 100K subscribe before copyright strike is concerned. Okay, that's good. Good to know. Cool. You'll get there, though. I'll do everything I can on my end. With the first strike, I believe you... Oh, I read that already. My kid made a video where he played the piano, one line from a song, and they music studio claimed it and put ads on the video so they could make money, even though he only had 10 subscribers. Man, that's corporate America for you. It was completely fair use, but they go after smaller channels who aren't going to fight them. Are you monetized? Yeah, I think I'm waiting for that 4,000 viewing hours since it's so new to get monetized. That's why I'm not that concerned about getting demonetized right now. But we're well on our way to the 4,000 viewing hours. I'm having some meltage over here. Exactly, Aaron. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Let's see. Let's see how the stocks
gas
are
out
going.
of Russia, but sanctions could change that. We need to wait and see. But after that, the politics is really going to come into focus. OPEC meets next week. Will they come under pressure from the US and other large customers like India and Japan to release more oil to ease prices? Will the IEA react? It has the ability to coordinate a global stockpile release among industrialized countries. That's one option. I think that Biden, as he looks to punish Russia for its actions with harsh economic sanctions, will equally be keen that it doesn't get out of hand in the oil market, where American consumers are already being hit by the highest gasoline prices in 8 years.
Yeah, as if we need our gas prices to go up more. This could make that happen. Wow.
Think that there may be a political response that means some pull down. And then, of course, the other thing to keep an eye on is the Iran talks in Vienna. If there's a deal there, traders may be able to look to increase Iranian exports this year.
Okay, so keep an eye on Iran, keep an eye on IEA, keep an eye on OPEC+. Will from Christine, from Will to Christine. Christine, we heard from Goldman Sachs, Muller-Glisman speaking to us earlier, Christian Muller-Glisman saying that a stagflationary environment now is a real risk.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, that's certainly on the brain for a lot of investors today because, again, they're trying to weigh against the potential growth.
Financial news bores me. I had less than 10 people watching a couple years ago when they abruptly ended my live stream, and I lost the ability to stream for a while. Was watching a short video owned by Comedy Central. Huh. I'm getting some mixed messages here, you guys. What the heck? Let's see.
We will see harsher financial sanctions, sanctions on the financial sector, on the technology sector, on individuals, asset freezes.
So I've had a lot of y'all ask me what I think is going to happen moving forward. Do any of you have a clear sense of kind of what the next steps are? Both how you think the United States is going to respond to different actions, and then how do you think Russia is moving forward? Like, what do you think Russia's ultimate plan is? If you have a clear opinion on that, drop it in the chat. I'd be interested to hear.
In a circle of President Putin, that they will then start to really make a mark, and that would include access to the dollar and also the import of Western technology, which is basically what you're saying there. And we've already seen a raft of sanctions from the EU. Could you tell us more about the hopes of diplomacy? Because so far they've failed. Would you say that this attack on Ukraine is also a failure of the West?
It's hard to judge it as a failure of the West because you can definitely say that Western leaders, also EU leaders, have tried everything, at least from what we can observe from the outside. Many of them traveled to Russia.
Nobody has a clear sense of what's going to happen? Whoa. It was politics basically about veterans getting stuck across the border in Mexico. Comedy Central certainly isn't the only entity that would cause that to happen, though. Gotcha. Okay, let's see. I think the best scenario, which is a bad scenario, is that Ukraine becomes like Afghanistan, fighting guerrilla warfare against the Russians for years. Interesting. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to let this melt, so let me go put it back.
He's pledged to work with international allies to impose a tough new package of sanctions on Russia, promising Russia's leadership would
All right,
face
I'm going to put this away. I'll be right back.
unprecedented isolation.
The European Union will respond in the strongest possible terms. President of the European Council, President Michel, has called for a meeting of the European Council this evening, and they will agree and provide political guidance to adopt the stronger package, the harshest package of sanctions we have ever implemented.
Gustav Gressel is a senior fellow with the European Council on Foreign Relations. What do you think is Russian President Putin's goal?
Putin's goal is what he said and what he announced: the destruction of Ukraine as a state, the destruction of Ukraine as a people, the destruction of Ukrainian society as such. This is not an ordinary war. This is a war of annihilation. This is something we haven't been seeing since the Bosnian-Serbian campaign or the Second World War.
So a complete regime change, in other words.
a regime change, a societal re-engineering of the country that involves eliminating its cultural and political and societal elites.
Part of Russia's offensive has been launched from the territory of Belarus. Is the regime there now acting as one with Russia?
I'll binge your videos for you all weekend. That will get you closer, mate. Thank you. Broadcast bar, you are kind. Kind.
Because of the situation, and the Belarusian people would not support this nonsense. Even Lukashenko seemed very nervous and at long pain in interviews before this war, but he has no other choice. He bet on Putin to sustain his own regime and power, and these are the side effects.
NATO over the last weeks and months has sent troops to bolster its eastern flank, including the Baltic states and Poland. Is a confrontation between Russia and NATO on the horizon?
Unfortunately, on the longer term, yes, because as I said before, this is about breaking Ukrainian society, and the Ukrainian society doesn't want to be broken. They don't want to accept the Russian rule. They will resist. Now, in such a case, which is to be expected, a guerrilla war, a partisan campaign against Russian rule, how would Putin react? Will he concede to the Russian people that he essentially failed? Will he extradite himself to The Hague for what he did? No. He will blame the West. He will say this is all NATO's fault. He will say that the West has seduced Ukraine into resisting Russia. And he will apply the means that have worked in the past, military threats, nuclear threats, to make and compel the West from stopping supporting Ukraine or stopping the sort of the guerrilla war there, which of course we can't, and we will.
Aaron says, prediction, China backs Russia. China becomes the world superpower. America gets pissed and elects another Trump. America goes to war. China wins. Climate change kills us all. That's a optimistic prediction. I don't think so. Ukraine is a European country. But I think the point that Aaron's making is that it benefits China to back Russia because they want to do a similar thing to Taiwan at some point. I need to turn on my heater.
Of Ukrainians on the run,
it's getting cold.
Civilians, and the Ukrainian army basically fighting a rearguard action to allow as many civilians the chance to flee this.
Are new harsh sanctions imposed by the EU, UK and US going to change this situation, do you think?
Unfortunately, I have to be very pessimistic on that. Sanctions are always a long-term goal. They are always trying to change policies on the long run, and we are facing.
Biden meet with G7 leaders today, will impose stricter sanctions. Oh my gosh, guys. Stricter sanctions on Russia. And then the dinosaurs return and fight against the aliens. Awesome. You got the right idea. Huh. What are we watching?
And here are some of the early
crazy
reactions to Russia's attack on Ukraine coming in this morning. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba went on Twitter to say Putin has just launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Peaceful Ukrainian cities are under strikes. This is a war of aggression. Ukraine will defend itself and will win. The world can and must stop Putin. The time to act is now. Is the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He directly appealed to the Russian president, saying, President Putin, in the name of humanity, bring your troops back to Russia. This conflict must stop now. And the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz just issued a statement saying the Russian attack on Ukraine is a blatant violation of international law.
True.
It cannot be justified by anything. Germany condemns in the strongest possible terms this unscrupulous act by President Putin. Our solidarity goes out to Ukraine and its people. Well, I'm joined by Vladimir Esipov, from DW's Russian service. Putin addressed the Russians in a televised speech in the early morning hours. How did he justify this military offensive in Ukraine?
So the main argument of Vladimir Putin is there's no more any sense to have any negotiations with the Ukraine or with the NATO or with the West in general. So the Russian arguments, Russian fears, or
So
Russian so-called fears
I was
about
hoping
NATO
to do some live
enlargement.
coverage of the CPAC stuff. CPAC speaker. Let's see what's going on there. I may be working during the actual live thing, but I might cover it. Oh my gosh. All the big hitters. Why would Larry cut? No one wants to listen to him speak. Papa John? This guy? Rick Scott is the creepiest looking person ever. Ugh. Who are these people? Oh my gosh, there's so many speakers. Sheesh. Agenda. Come on. Agenda. Let's go. Oh, it already updated. Catholic Mass, huh? What the heck? So I'm assuming nothing interesting happens in the morning. Don Lemon is a dinosaur. Let's see. None of this is interesting. There's a Matt Schlapp, but nobody wants to. Oh. Okay, Ron DeSantis, 1:30 p.m. I could cover that. Is this... Anyone know what time zone this is in? Cover Tulsi. Yeah. What the heck happened to Tulsi Gabbard? She is a right-winger these days. I don't care about any of these people. No. Oh, Kimberly Guilfoyle is fun to watch speak. The best is yet to come. Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley. Okay, so of these, let's see. This is in Florida, so Eastern time. Okay. So that means... Charlie Kirk. I would watch him. The Ron DeSantis speech is at 10:30 my time. Okay. And then oh, I thought that said Tom Holland. I was like, Tom Holland speaking? What? And then Kimberly Guilfoyle will be at 1 o'clock my time, 1:15. And then Ted Cruz will be at 2 o'clock. And then, cool. Cool. I could cover those. DeSantis, yeah, true that. All right, and then Friday. I don't like Tulsi, but she wasn't wrong that Ukraine should have just said they weren't going to join yet NATO. Yeah, I have an issue a little bit with setting a precedent that like Russia can force people to not act in certain ways as a sovereign nation just by flexing their power and breaking international law, and then we go, okay, fine, we won't do that. I don't like that at all, because, you know, if Ukraine wants to join NATO, let them join NATO, but I don't think it's reprehensible at all I think it's a very valid point to be like, hey, what if it would tone down the situation, why don't we just say Ukraine won't be a part of NATO? Like, I understand that's pretty logical. I just have a problem with like the precedent that sets. Does anyone know who this is? Oh, Mike Pompeo. That's early. Let's see. This is Friday. That's early my time. I could definitely cover that. Where did we see that? Oh, here we go. Y'all, isn't it crazy that Mike Pompeo thinks he could run for president? Wow. Sure. It feels good to support a young up-and-coming reporter. Thank you so much. I appreciate every bit of it. Who else are y'all interested? Oh, Candace Owens. But those are more panels. I'm not a huge panel person. Christy Nome. I would watch that. Ben Carson. A job fair. Breakout sessions. Shabbat dinner. Ronald Reagan dinner. Wow. There's no big speeches on Friday night. Let's see. The big ones must be Saturday night then, y'all. Ukraine joining NATO or not is just between those two. Not up to Russia to demand a yes or no. That's how I feel, definitely, Claudia. MSNBC, like in Kiev, they got explosions. I don't think I completely followed that. John Kennedy. Oh, he's so funny. He's the one who sang that song. That like old Southern song. It was so awkward. Oh, and then Trump. Okay. And Trump's speech is at 7 p.m. So that's 4 p.m. my time. I'll probably have work. Dang, I'll have to cover that afterwards. Oh, there's Sunday. Sheesh. I guess I would cover this one. Oh, the straw poll is always interesting. And then Donald Trump Jr. is that day. And I would cover that. All right, well, we got our weekend's agenda. I'll be live streaming a lot. And hopefully y'all will tag along. Let's get back to this.
Conference with Joe Biden and the Japanese obviously getting involved as well. And so all of this will be discussed in those contexts. But there will be a significant escalation of the sanctions. What we're hearing so far is that it's likely they're going to be targeting primarily the financial system. At least this is the signals that we've been getting. Perhaps not so much at this point the energy supplies from the Russian side. Energy sanctions also, of course, potentially have the cost of massively ratcheting up energy prices, not just in Europe, but around the world. That is something that governments are concerned about because they're already dealing with significantly elevated prices and high inflation. One measure that has been discussed a lot is the SWIFT payment system, which is the main payment system used globally to transfer money from one place to another, potentially cutting Russia off from that. So these are very severe measures. So they will be trying to show unity, trying to show like clear agreement over these measures, and trying to signal with that to Vladimir Putin that he shouldn't go further yet from the distance that he's already gone.
Richard Walker, thank you for the insight. On that topic of sanctions, let's have a listen in now to Germany's economy minister, Robert Habeck. He's been speaking on German breakfast television this morning, warning of new sanctions.
This is a Russian offensive on a sovereign state, something we haven't seen in Europe for many years. I must say we haven't seen for decades. An offensive that we have to condemn in the harshest terms, and our solidarity is with Ukraine. Europe and the US will act united and in a coordinated way. We will now move very quickly together to impose economic sanctions on Russia.
Our chief political editor, Michaela Küffner, is with us now here in Berlin. Michaela, how has Germany been reacting to the Russian attack on Ukraine?
Well, clearly it has sunk in here that the worst case scenario is now unfolding, that this is full-on aggression, that it's a Russian invasion, that many, until even hours ago, really didn't believe that Vladimir Putin...
Sorry, MSNBC is live in Kiev. They had explosions a couple minutes ago. Gotcha. Do they have a channel this live or just on actual, like, MSNBC, the TV? No.
Sober moment this morning. Nobody here, not you, not me, not any of the politicians, ordinary citizens here in Europe will forget this day.
Claudia said, put your coming live streams on YouTube so we can hit the memory. That way we don't miss your very strong and tremendous coverings. Thank you so much. I will try to schedule them in advance. Yes, that's a good idea. For sure.
That this solidarity doesn't stretch as far as anyone in Europe, anyone within NATO being willing to put boots on the ground to actively protect Ukraine. And Volodymyr Zelenskyy said, thank you for the help, thank you for the economic assistance. Germany has invested almost $2 billion since 2014 to buoy the economy in Ukraine. But really what Ukraine wants is weapons, and overall it wants a security guarantee, as in a timeline, to join NATO. That, of course, is simply not on the table. It's not legally possible with Ukraine already having this frozen conflict with Russia, which, well, is now becoming a full-blown war in these moments as we're speaking. So an increasingly desperate Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and now the German Chancellor, European leaders vowing that they will stand by Ukraine's side, but where they do draw the line is actually getting militarily involved.
Michaela Küffner for us there. Thank you very much. And here are some reactions to Russia's attack on Ukraine. This is what US President Joe Biden tweeted. Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction this attack will
So we saw that. Putin won't allow Ukraine to join NATO because he plans to be a superpower. If that means war, he's willing to do it. The U.S. will have to decide how far we are willing to go to keep Russia handicapped. Yeah. Broadcast Bar says, my channel is on cryptocurrency and investments. Nice. I like to set up... Oh, I see what you're saying. I like to set up a premiere on 5 minutes. Dramatic, builds tension. Totally. And Broadcast Bar, I think that's cool that you do that. I don't know much about those topics, so, well, investments I am okay at, but crypto not at all. Aaron, let's see, I know I read it out, but let me remember what it was. Yeah, I agree. I just think whenever you have a situation where a power such as Russia, such as Putin, wants to be a world superpower but doesn't have the like infrastructure, not actual infrastructure, but the actual resources and real power to do that naturally. Like the United States wants to be a world superpower and has the authority to be that. But Russia's economy is bad and they really don't have that much strength in many areas, except for, like we've discussed, their nuclear strength. So it's like that makes a really dangerous thing whenever you have somebody who, or have an entity that wants to be as powerful as the United States, but doesn't actually have that power back, so they have to flail and do things like this to keep themselves established as a world power and really anything that people are concerned about. So I think that's true, Aaron. I can't wait for y'all to see me next time I do a live stream, whenever I'm energetic and not exhausted. I'm trying so hard to say words. Yes, Russia's like the high school bully, and USA is the headmaster. Being German, I can't talk for US politics, but I sure hope that Europe will interfere against the danger coming toward us from the east. Yeah, I think you can definitely speak on American politics, even if you're not in America, but I definitely agree. As we discussed earlier, it's like, will he stop after Ukraine? And if you think there's a non-zero chance that he won't, then you got to start considering, like, what is it? Well, I think right now we should stop him, but what that means, I don't exactly know. There's just too much at stake, and so it's hard to, unlike other situations, give a clear statement of what we should do, because every option does have a chance that it leads to the world being ended through nuclear war, which will definitely make it tough to feel secure on your decision.
So simply, I mean, there is no comparison. There is no way that Ukraine can defeat this invasion. There's simply no way.
They have nukes and China's backing. I think that qualifies as a superpower these days. Yeah, I hear you. I just mean they're not the level of the United States, but they make themselves that level, if that makes sense. As far as their threat to the world, they definitely do make themselves a world superpower. But as far as like economically and diplomatically, if you take away the nukes, they're really not, they're not a China or a United States. Excuse me.
Bitter experience.
Look at that, guys.
That it's one thing to topple a government that you don't like, but after that, if you face an insurgency, you might have a big problem on your hands for a long time. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of analysts were skeptical of whether Russia really would go this far. Because it's one thing to topple a government, it's one thing to defeat an army, but what then? What if the population simply doesn't accept it and you face a long-term insurgency? That could turn into a huge problem for the Russians going forward. But it's just too early to say, of course, how the dynamic will develop. But that is something that they will have certainly factored into their calculations. And just the fact that Putin went ahead despite those sort of concerns.
I think Biden was wrong to rule out troops on the ground so early, gave the green light, in my opinion. Broadcast Bar says, and all UK has done is some useless financial sanctions. Come on, guys. Yeah, I think making it clear that you didn't intend on going to war with Russia seemed like the right thing to do at that moment, right? God, look at this.
Talked earlier about some of the concerns about how far you ratchet up at this point, especially in areas of energy that could disrupt Western economies. There will also be concern in the West about what if Putin then starts to respond directly to the sanctions, for example, with cyber attacks. We've seen Putin very aggressively, presumably, I mean, they haven't been attributed yet, but we've seen repeated cyber attacks against Ukraine in recent weeks. Very likely, in this scenario, it would be hard to believe that they were not orchestrated in some way by the Russian side. What if the Russians start to impose those sort of cyber attacks on Western powers in direct retaliation for these sanctions? If that leads to a response by the West in terms of cyber attacks of their own, then you may...
All right, y'all. I am about to fall asleep sitting here at this desk. I need to get some rest, especially if I'm going to cover all the CPAC events. When I get up in the morning, I'll, of course, look through all the developments and hopefully get back to y'all with what's going on. So thank you so much for watching. I know so many of you were here like the entire time. That's awesome. Loved hanging with y'all. And who knows what's going to happen. This is crazy. Historic. Actual troops being deployed into Ukraine to take over the country. Bombs being dropped. People are trying to evacuate. Really, really, really crazy and concerning. But thanks again for watching. Like I said, if you're not subscribed already, of course, do that. But I'll be back tomorrow.